Vice President Kamala Harris won Minnesota 51 to almost 47%. Senator Amy Klobuchar faced much better statewide, beating her opponent 56% to 40%. You can see the difference when you compare the maps of their victories. This is the Klobuchar win on the left there, and this is the Harris win. Senator Klobuchar carried 12 counties that Donald Trump won. They are Anoka, Beltrami, Blue Earth, Carlton, Carver, Mahnomen, Mower, Nicollet, Norman, Rice, Scott, and Winona counties. Is this a sign of some sort of meeting in the middle that might be possible? Earlier today, I spoke to Senator Klobuchar. Well, joining us right now is Senator Klobuchar. Senator, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Esme. It's great to be on, and great to have the election behind us, I will say.
I think a lot of people feel that way as well. I want to, first of all, congratulate you. You had a very big win. And I want to ask you about the nature of that win, because there's some really interesting things in the way you won and the places you won. But I want to ask you first, in your opinion, why did Kamala Harris and Tim Walz perform so much more poorly with almost every single demographic group than President Biden and Vice President Harris did in 2020?
America has been through a lot in the last few years. I don't think I'm telling anyone anything new. You get out of the pandemic, obviously there's been issues with costs and inflation, and I think there was a big impetus across the country for change and making sure that elected officials understood that people weren't happy with where they were. And when that happens, whoever is the party in charge often does not fare as well. So for me, I have tended to always be someone that has gone even where it's uncomfortable, not just where it is comfortable. And I think that what you saw with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz was clearly a well-run campaign. They only had a few months to do it. Our governor did what he was supposed to do, but there were a lot of headwinds. And I think one of the things that the Democratic Party has to do is step back and look at some of these issues that matter to people: housing, childcare, what their daily lives are like. I think a lot of people just feel like things are swirling around them, whether it's technology or the global economy, and leaving them behind. So I'm actually looking forward to, one, finding common ground where we can, but also standing our ground when we need to. But I think there's going to be a lot of discussion about a change in a focus on more on economic issues.
Let me ask you quickly, do you agree with Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi that it's Joe Biden's fault for not getting out of the race sooner?
I am not looking backwards. I am not playing the blame game right now. And I think we all know Speaker Pelosi is a tremendous leader and has been. She has her views. I want to move forward. And for me, moving forward means focusing on this narrow band, and I hope it's much bigger, where we can find some common ground to advance these things that are going to make things better for the people of Minnesota and the people of this country.
And that's what I want to ask you about, because we showed all the graphics that shows that you were able to pick up counties. People split their tickets, bottom line, between Donald Trump and Amy Klobuchar. When your colleagues come to you, and you actually did better than any Democratic senator in terms of your margin of victory this year, any Democratic senator that won by a lot, when your colleagues come to you and say, how did you do it, Senator Klobuchar, what are you going to tell them?
Well, I think a lot of this, the going to all 87 counties every year, year after year, it makes a difference to me. I think it matters. You know, in the end, you're not going to get every voter there. I know that. But they still will come up to me, and sometimes they say, I didn't vote for you, but I agree with what you did on veterans benefits. Or someone will say, I support you because I'm glad you took on the pharmaceutical companies. So I think that in the focus, and I think nearly every one of the ads that I ran and the work that I've done has been on that economic zone, or getting things done. An emphasis on constituent services. I don't care who's president. When people need help getting through red tape, if it's a small business, that got a bad letter from the government and needs help to figure out how they can stay in business. If it is a veteran whose benefits got lost in the mail or a senior who didn't get their Social Security, that's part of our job. And so I have always put a big emphasis on that, on meeting people where they are, as opposed to looking for political divides.
You know, in the Democratic Senate, you wield a lot of influence. You have a position on the Judiciary Committee. You're chair of the Rules Committee. How is that? Isn't that going to be very different in a Republican-controlled Senate? Won't you sort of be sentenced to Siberia of sorts?
Okay, so let's start with the immediate. In the immediate, while we're still chairs, we have to work with Republicans to get a budget done and the defense bill done by the end of the year. I can't tell you how important that is to put our country on a good glide path, and it's got to be bipartisan. We got to have an agreement with the House. Secondly, no matter who is going to win this election, I am chairing the inauguration, the ceremony, and all that surrounds it, as well as the Electoral College count, which is January 6th on the Senate side. That's going to keep me busy as well.
Is it literally January 6th again this time around?
It's the same date.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
it is the same date. I don't anticipate issues, but it is the same date. And then the inauguration of President Trump, I will also be chairing that. And because that's how it works. I'm chair of the Rules Committee and working with my Republican counterparts. So we obviously will be working with the transition team on that. Then I'll become the senior ranking Democrat on the Agriculture Committee, and that comes with it a lot of work we need to get done. Hopefully we get the Farm Bill done by the end of the year. So I actually have a lot on my plate right now, in addition to my role in leadership with the Senate Democrats. So my life will continue to be busy, and nothing will change with the work that I do in Minnesota.
Well, we don't doubt that. Senator Klobuchar, we know you're busy. We appreciate your taking the time, and certainly we'll be following the progress with the inauguration and certainly the counting of the Electoral College votes on January 6th. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Esme.